an online presence. You have to be able to be found.
Exactly.
We don't have yellow pages anymore.
No.
And no one's really opening circulars in the mail. That's all dead.
Yeah.
So you have to have that online presence where people can get a sense of you before they get to you.
To you, yeah.
That's so important. How many times have we tried to go somewhere?
We're checking reviews. We're going at the bare minimum, you got to be on all those different sites where they can at least check your reviews. Even if you're a great word of mouth spot, you know what I mean?
Listen.
At the bare minimum, you have to have that presence on there to where they at least can see you, see pictures, see this, see X, Y, Z. And it could be as simple as on Yelp or on Google, review, but it just needs to have some kind of presence there.
Yes. Hi, welcome to the Modern Waiter Podcast. I'm Marlon Joseph, the Modern Waiter, where we discuss all things restaurant business. Learn something. Laugh at something. The failure rate for restaurants can vary depending on different factors such as location, type of cuisine, competition, management, and economic conditions. However, studies have indicated that around 20 to 30% of restaurants fail within the first year.
Really?
And going out 5 years, it can be as much as 60% or more. On today's episode, we will discuss why 60% of restaurants fail. But first, the intro.
Tired of working deadbeat jobs for lame pay. I'm tired of getting fired and hired the same day. If you know the rules
As usual, I'm joined by my good friend Danny DeVilla.
What's up, people?
We have preached on this podcast. Why does anybody want to open up a restaurant? Let's take a look at it. Why do restaurants fail, really? And so that's our first reasoning that we're going to talk about is location. And that one is like, as we even talk about it, it almost feels a little intangible.
Yeah.
It's not just like you said, you do need traffic pattern. You
Absolutely.
do need traffic, or not enough traffic, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And in a sense, if the traffic is too fast, like on these main drags, let's say we take, for instance, US 1. There are a ton of restaurants there, but I feel the entrances to the driveways are large enough for if you're going fast enough, you can slow down in time to maneuver.
Yeah. And they usually have two. What you'll notice, they'll have the intro one and they'll exit one.
Correct.
And you can turn on either one. So even if you miss it the first time, you can still whip around and make it the second time.
Yes. And so also where the signs and the visibility of the frontage is very important.
Yeah.
If for my example of that location where nothing thrives there's no sign on the street
Where you can say, hey, that's there.
Yes. And it's not as, it's always an independent type of place. So you might see a sign, but it may not be recognizable to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so location.
Absolutely.
And then another factor of location is the rent. If the rent is an albatross around your neck immediately,
then you're already behind.
You
don't want to be behind.
You can't start off that way.
You can't start off that way.
you're going to start off that way.
You're always starting off behind, but you know what I mean? You don't want to be behind and stressing out.
Yes. Now, the second thing that is really, really, I don't want to say shitty. Let's say I have a Kia dealership in Fort Lauderdale. You can't open up a Kia dealership in Fort Lauderdale. You have to
the dynamic of it. You have to have at least a town over.
The territories are defined by the dealerships. But restaurants, there are no territories.
No.
Someone can open up a very similar
concept
right next to you, or around the corner, or in a better location, closer to this or whatever. You have no
closer to the foot traffic.
Closer to foot traffic, whatever it may be, or even if it's just, it could be non-ideal.
Yeah.
It's just a new entity in your genre, or even if it's not in your genre, it's a restaurant. It's a place to eat, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so the fact that you have zero control, none. They can open up, and then, as my friend, we've had him on the show before, Jason Raymond, he describes you could still be better than them. But what's going to happen is people are going to check out.
The other spot first.
Yes, your regulars are going to check out that spot just to see what it's like. So then your days and your numbers are going to dip, albeit temporary, or albeit slightly,
Yeah, but you're still gonna see it.
Yes, they're gonna leech some. We need every cover we can get.
Yeah, they're gonna take some of regardless. Any new restaurant, all restaurants kind of feel that. Like, depending on where you're at. Mm-hmm. I work on the beach, and there was a time when they just kept. I feel like they kept opening different things, and always, like you said, people come back, but you still feel it for that first few months that they're open.
Yes,
because they're that new hot spot.
Yeah, people are gonna check it out. We check it out. People say, "Oh, there's
Absolutely.
a new place here and there, or whatever." You want to check it out.
You want to see.
Yes.
You want to see what the hype is about.
Or exactly. Hopefully,
you want to see if there is hype.
You want to see if there is hype or merit or
if there's a reason why we shouldn't be over here.
Exactly. And another thing, depending on your not level of restaurant, but your style of restaurant, delivery has become a big thing.
Oh yeah. And delivery actually saves some restaurants during like COVID that were going down.
Well, yes,
but it went both ways.
Okay, so it's important to talk about COVID because in a couple of these points, COVID has really changed.
The dynamic of things.
The dynamic of things, right? It has definitely changed labor.
Oh yeah.
People are like
scarce.
The veil has been lifted.
Yes.
And they're not in Wonderland anymore, and they don't care. They're like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
And still we're feeling the effects of having people with a decent attitude about the restaurant business, about working in the restaurant business. Used to be you could like crack some whips.
Yeah. Now you're like now it's almost a rarity to see.
Now you're fluffing
service.
Pillows.
Yeah.
You went from cracking whips to fluffing pillows. Yeah, you need a mint with that? It's wild.
Yes.
And the restaurant really is dependent on some cheap labor. Mm-hmm. And so now that not only some cheap labor, some cheap, willing, and how could I even put it? Some people just have a stank attitude.
Yeah.
It's really different.
It's hard.
They don't care.
And they don't get fired. You're like, man, before we got rid of your ass like that, okay, you'd be gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you just want some bodies.
Now you see the body in the
like,
spot.
You're lucky I need a body right now.
Lucky right now. Okay.
What you say under your breath.
Yeah.
You don't even say it out loud.
In your mind, you're like, as soon as I find somebody to replace your ass, you're gone.
But you ain't got nobody to answer that bell.
Right.
So you're just like, well, let's just push on. Just forget this ever happened. Try not to let this happen again. Yo, I still work there, so I can't say nothing. But yeah, I mean, so food delivery has people skipping the whole restaurant experience. Mm-hmm. And for some restaurants, it is an add-on, but depending on if they manage their own deliveries, I can imagine that it's better for them.
Sure.
But if they're going through the Ubers and the DoorDashes of all that with all the world, that's still siphoning their profits.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they have to kick a percentage.
A premium,
a percentage to them. And so let's talk about profits. That is the next thing that that's contributing to 60% of restaurants failing within the first 5 years. They're not making any profit.
They are barely breaking even.
What do you think is the profit, the gross profit margin for
a successful restaurant?
Yeah.
For the owner?
Not for the owner, just revenue. The percentage of revenue.
Oh. I have no idea.
I'll tell you. The restaurant's net profit should ideally be between 3 to 5%.
Okay.
So that means for every dollar earned, the restaurant should keep about 3 to 5 cents as profit. Isn't that nuts?
That's nuts.
Why would anybody sign up for that? I mean, because it is... Ideally, you have high volume and things like that. You hear managers talk about, we did this many thousands and things like that. But then there's still a lot of moving parts.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I know how much my restaurant costs just to even open the doors. Mm-hmm. And then when you think about that, okay, in itself, you're like, they have to make X, Y, Z before they even get started.
I mean, those are all hard costs, right?
Yeah.
The rent, the lights, the gas,
all
the
those
equipment.
things, yes.
That's already there.
That's already there.
And you need to start that lawnmower just to cut some grass.
Just to cut some grass.
Okay? We're not even talking about the fuel yet. We're not even talking about the labor of the
food,
people.
everything else. Yeah.
Yes. So you're talking beverage costs, labor costs, rent, utilities, overhead. I mean, some successful restaurants can profit higher, like 10%.
Yeah,
things like that.
good restaurants between an outstanding number I heard in one of our older restaurants was 20%, and that's just it was a well managed oil machine.
Okay.
Now that's unheard of. Okay, in most places, the average for a good restaurant I heard is about 10%.
Yeah,
and that is from a couple of different reliable managers and sources overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the razor's edge in great conditions.
I mean, you're talking optimal.
That's optimal.
You're talking a machine, a cash cow.
Yes.
Okay.
You're talking
like something you're not even
the
thinking
beast.
about. That's not even worried about things.
Yeah. You're in a high traffic area. Yes. Something's feeding the beast constantly. You have your costs under control, basically.
You have a good system already in place.
You have a great system.
Yeah.
You have a great system. I mean, listen, there's spoilage. There's waste. There's theft.
There's theft. There's so many different factors, yo.
What about rising prices?
Yes.
Today,
cost.
Yes. Today, your sea bass costs this. Tomorrow, it costs that. So you got to take sea bass off the menu.
Yeah.
What about food prices all across the board? What about labor?
With delivery charges, even and now we're not talking about people delivering. We're talking about the truck to come to you. You know what I mean? It's getting more and more expensive.
Yes. I mean, that. Oh man, that is wild. I mean, I've been in this business for a long time, and never have I really thought that, man, I think this would be a great business to own.
No.
Never. It's just one thing after another.
It is.
I'm a server. Whenever I hear a tray of dishes or glasses or a liquor bottle break, I'm feeling it. I'm like, ooh, man.
That hurt.
That hurt.
Yeah. And they up you, you know what I mean? Like I've noticed when you buy from like, let's say like a restaurant
supplier.
Yes. Okay. Their cost is more, yo.
Yes.
I've noticed like trash bag, like little things like yo, I was talking to somebody, I go, there was like a plastic tub, or it was it was a trash can. Okay. That same trash can at Lowe's was half the price.
Well, but you didn't have to go to Lowe's to get it.
Okay.
No, but here's what you do. Yes, sometimes it's I don't.
And when in my head I'm like Lowe's is still upping that price from even the person they got it from.
True, but you as an operator aren't going to go to 5 different
you're going
places to get to the thing. So Lowe's only has the trash cans.
Yeah.
But do they have the trash bags and the forks and the spoons and the this and the that? You're paying a premium. I'm assuming. I don't know. If what you're saying is truly accurate all the time.
True. No. I mean, I'm sure different prices for different things. Obviously.
Yes, for sure. But you would go crazy buying retail because of the sheer time it takes to order and get and all that stuff. You go into they're already having this plate for plates and this and that, this place for garbage cans and this and soaps and in your supplies. I mean, you got to be able to click and keep it moving.
Yeah, it is definitely for the convenience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not well versed on the management side of things. Yeah, definitely. If you enjoy our show, let us know.
Talk to us.
TheModernWaiter at gmail.com.
At The Modern Waiter for IG.
Yes.
Okay.
At The Modern Waiter Podcast on
is.
Instagram. Yes.
Where are we going with it next?
Marketing and branding.
Okay.
That could be very ineffective because you get these weird name restaurants or the logo or the branding is kind of off. It's the branding should be on point with the
style,
with your price point. If your price point is this and you're trying to achieve a branding of this, it just doesn't. People don't trust.
Yeah,
this.
They trust the names they know.
They trust the names, but then there's something that feels right. If you're going to a casual place with a fancy name and you're trying to be fancy but you're casual.
No, it doesn't work like that. Be casual.
Be casual.
If your name is Shea, whatever.
Yes.
It should be fancy. It
Yes.
should be
100%.
Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, if you're going to like, just to like, you know, something like, I don't know, I'm not gonna say like,
Just a middle of the road,
Yeah.
fast casual.
Exactly.
Yes, be fast casual. If you're demanding a premium price, but you're not delivering
A premium product.
feeding a premium product, whether or not it's the napkins are cheap, or the linens, I should say, or the silverware are cheap and things like that. It just doesn't jive, and you're not going to consistently demand to get that price that you're demanding.
Exactly.
It has to be on point.
It has to fit.
It has to fit. You have to have a social presence.
Yeah.
A lot of these, and this is one thing that COVID did to a lot of old school operators. They tend to feel it a little bit harder if they're not able to have a marketing presence.
Yeah.
You know, that's very important. I like an e-market, electronic.
I know exactly what you mean.
You know what I'm
An
talking
online
about?
presence.
An online presence. You have to be able to be found.
Exactly.
We don't have yellow pages anymore.
No.
And no one's really opening circulars in the mail. That's all dead.
Yeah.
So you have to have that online presence where people can get a sense of you before they get to you.
To you, yeah.
That's so important. How many times have we tried to go somewhere?
We're checking reviews. We're going all, you know, at the bare minimum, you got to be on all those different sites where they can at least check your reviews. Even if you're a great word of mouth spot, you know what I mean?
Listen.
At the bare minimum, you have to have that presence on there to where they at least can see you, see pictures, see this, see X, Y, Z. And it could be as simple as on Yelp or on Google, you know, review, but it just needs to have some kind of presence there.
Yes. In addition to that, anyone can be reviewed. They can start the restaurant chain of reviews going. But sometimes you want to go to the restaurant's website.
Yeah, you want to see.
You want to see.
And that's what I go to. I'll go to make sure they have a website just so I can see their menu.
Yes.
Okay? Just because I'm not scrolling through and looking at because what happens at mobile spots is you'll see spots that have that menu is just old, or you know, if somebody took a picture of it, maybe they were open 5 years ago and that menu's completely changed from now and then. If they have their own spot and their own website, even if it's outdated, it's still better than what somebody else probably took years ago.
True.
They're going to at least try to do it, let's say it's even every 6 months or a year. That's still better than 5 years, a picture from 5 years ago, or food from 5 years ago, or, you know, X, Y, Z.
Menus change way faster than the online menu.
Yeah, which is fair.
Present. It isn't though, because that is an extension of your storefront.
Yes.
Okay, that it may not be physical, but it is meaningful.
Absolutely.
And so when you're presenting an
product.
outdated,
Yeah.
you know, not facade, but presence, that is, I don't want to say it's detrimental, but it's stopping.
It can hurt you for sure.
It can hurt you for sure.
Yeah.
Because I want to know.
You might have came for that specific dish that you saw. I'm like, oh man, that looked phenomenal.
Listen, I get what you're saying with the dish. I'm not even at the menu yet. I'm talking about what is your website communicating
to the
to
world.
me?
Yes.
And if it's one of those old school websites that I can tell has not been done professionally, or to a degree that I feel that this is somewhere that I want to visit.
Is it easy to navigate? Is it, you know,
Yes.
is it all the normal things that you want as a consumer? Because at that point, if their stuff online looks good, usually their stuff in the building is pretty up to date.
Let me tell you something. I don't know what the website looks like anymore, but our old spot, my old spot, your spot, used to have a terrible. Yeah,
they definitely updated it, but yeah.
Okay, I mean, it was awful. It
was
was old school. Like it had music that played upon intro with a scrolling thing. It just looked like, why would anybody want to go to this crusty ass place? It was terrible. It was not.
It wasn't with the times.
It wasn't with the times. And so if that turned me off, I can only imagine the many people who go to websites. Yeah. And that was even I've seen where it wasn't as important before because things were just different.
Yeah.
It's a brave new world now.
It's nuts.
It is nuts. Now let's move on now. The customer service can really be a factor.
Oh, 150%, yeah.
Yes. Now, here's what I don't understand. The attitude of some restaurants, it almost feels like
they don't want you there.
Yes.
And do they need you there?
They need you there. Look at this place. Eh,
What are you doing?
at least I'm here.
Right?
Who are you waiting for?
Exactly.
It's incredible. Poor customer service could be a thing of people aren't being trained right and things like that, but to me it goes
You're
from
still in the
owner
people
on
business,
down.
though. Yeah.
It is
We're in the business of people.
sometimes the owners aren't people.
True.
You know, and if you're not people and you don't have a people person working for
Yeah.
you, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're just going to start undermining your profits. People feel that. They feel when they're welcome.
Yes. And it's a huge thing.
It's a huge thing.
That's how you get people back in those seats, okay? It starts at the door, you know what I mean? But
Yes.
it really does. It starts as soon as you meet that host or whoever when you're coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go through every step of it.
What's worse, rude or inattentive?
I mean, if you come off rude naturally, that might just be your personality.
But at least you're there.
At least you're there.
You know, inattentive, I feel like is worse.
When you just like kind of get the blanks, like if you're not there, the blank stare, or
You're
just
not there.
not around. Being present is huge.
Although not a restaurant, I went into a store. This was like maybe a year ago, and I wanted to buy. Mm-hmm. I walked in. The whoever was there, I'm assuming an owner, because she just kind of.
Wasn't there.
I'm assuming it was an owner or whoever the attendant was. I walked in. I walked around. Never acknowledged me. Never said hello to me.
Not even.
And it's a small
need help
store
or anything like
no,
that.
nothing. I was in there for like 10 minutes.
Are you looking for something in particular? Nothing.
Nothing.
No, that's bad. And they saw you.
And the place is maybe twice as big as this room.
Oh my God.
Okay, it's an intimate place, maybe 3 times as big, but it's a
I
small
understand what you mean.
store.
Yeah.
Okay, and then another lady and her daughter came in, and she engaged them, and they were talking. They seemed very familiar and things like that. And I walked out. And this place is close, and I'll never go back. And I'll never speak favorably of them. It goes on and on. You know, it's like. And that's from one interaction. How many times have she done that
To somebody else.
to somebody else and to somebody else and to somebody else?
Yeah.
And that's how you kill a restaurant, a business anyway.
As a whole, yeah.
Yes. And how many times have you gone to a restaurant and you have not been acknowledged?
Yeah. So many times.
So many times. And that could not be as intentional as much as understanding how important that one thing is.
Yes.
And that's just one.
Being acknowledged, and I tell people all the time, you don't have to rush or be fast, but you should always acknowledge your tables or people as quickly as possible. Just let them know that you're there. You can take your time once you acknowledge them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If you say, "Hey, I'll be right with you. Give me a second," just let them know that you know that they're there.
Yes.
Okay. Then you buy yourself time. Then once you get to them, then you show them, who you are or what you just kind of give them a sense of that they're okay now. Mm-hmm. They will ride that wave with you all the way to the end.
Yes.
Even if you mess up, even if there's something goes wrong in the kitchen, if you gave them that sense that you actually care, that you acknowledge them from the beginning and let that ride through, it saves so many issues.
Yes, because if something goes wrong after, you ain't got no credit.
Yeah.
And you ignored me in the beginning.
Yes. You're double with it.
Yes. That's such an important thing. Just having it starts the connection.
Yeah, you got to have the connection.
You have to have the connection. And with every guest, because it's not just that they're spending money this time. You not only need them and want them to come back, you need them to bring other people so that you can rinse repeat with
them too.
Yes. And you can't do that if you're leaking.
Yeah.
If you're leaking visits.
Absolutely.
Every visit's important.
Every visit is important because you don't know. Even the people who don't spend money, or let's say they just came in for a salad or something light. That could be the same person that comes in later with 10 people.
Or that's the person that's had the biggest mouthpiece.
Yeah.
The cheapest people scream the most.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's the type of clientele you want. Those are different issues.
Yeah.
But you need the customer to be the customer.
Absolutely.
They ain't a customer if they ain't walking through the door.
Boom.
Next thing is inconsistent food quality. You go one day, it's good. The other day, it's just not hitting the same.
It's not the way, yeah.
I've gone to places where you can tell there's a different chef or cook on.
You're right away.
Right? You're like, oh man, last time
The presentation, the whole, it was sexy.
Yo, when stuff's made right,
oh yeah,
it hits.
You know it.
You know it.
You're
like,
I got
you
this.
start dancing. I got this. This is nice.
I got this.
And then the next time you're like, this is just thrown together.
This is average.
It doesn't even look the same.
Yeah.
It has to be.
And they hooked you that first time.
They hooked you. It's always the first time you chase it.
They hooked you that first time.
Yes.
And then the second time, if it doesn't come out, you're like, but you know, and granted, if they hook you well the first time, you'll even give it a third try. Okay, depending.
That's the thing. We have so many food choices.
Options.
That's the thing. Those things, and that's a lot of everything that we're describing right now. That's another ball in the air.
Yeah.
So how good a juggler are you
Absolutely.
to have, that 9-ball juggle? Everybody got that 3-ball juggle. That's every restaurant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you start putting in food costs, you start putting in quality, location, and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's where you start to see the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% gone.
Fail. Gone. That's a new sign.
Yeah.
Grand opening, grand closing. Now we talk about the finances. That's something that, what movie am I thinking of where the franchise, you go to franchise college, you go to like McDonald's University or something like that?
Oh, man, there is a show. I forgot what movie was
I forget. But, you have to have some funding to ride the wave. If something happens, if something breaks.
If you're a restaurant owner, you need to have money for 6 months, naturally. And that's just the average person, yo.
Yeah.
Okay, franchises have money. They're fine. And they'll close if they don't.
Yes and no, because I wouldn't necessarily agree with franchises.
Not franchise. I mean, corporations have like.
Yes. And they can really, if they're corporately owned, it's a part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then they have support.
Yeah, they have other things to lean on.
But then corporations will close that underperforming restaurant in a hurry.
Oh, quick, fast, in a hurry.
Yeah.
They're going to stop the bleeding.
Yeah. Oh, you're bringing me down.
Oh, yeah. They will stop the bleeding on you.
Yes. 100%. And so if you don't have the pockets to keep going through a season, let's say put a season together.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all good. It was all good just a week ago.
Yep.
And then you got to ride out those 4, 5, 6 months
of bad.
Where you dodging your debtors. It's like
I'm just waiting. I just need one more month. Give me one more month.
You ain't even answering the phone.
Yeah.
That's some heartburn
that
right
hurts.
there.
That's gotta hurt.
And so the last thing is the burnout. Sometimes owners get burnt out, and you could tell that things aren't. The frontage isn't as clean. The hedges aren't. The parking lot looks a little
off,
unattended. The maintenance and the cleanliness starts to dip because they have less staff, and people are burnt out because of things like that. That's also why it's so important to keep people in a line where they feel that they're a part of something.
Yeah.
If they don't feel like they're a part of something and it's all about you and this restaurant and things like that, they could do that somewhere else.
Yep.
And so you build that.
You have the community.
Yeah.
Community is huge.
It's huge, and that's also another COVID thing. I don't think that's COVID. I think that's a generational thing.
Yeah.
This generation wants to know why they're doing something. Last generation blindly just said, "Oh, I go to work for the company, this and that." But then the company don't take care of you, and the new generation sees that, and they're like, "Why would I want to do that?" You don't got me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit over here and quiet quit. You have to call me.
Find out where I'm at.
That's a lot of work and dedication it takes to. I think that should be number one. People underestimate the amount of work and dedication it takes to run a successful restaurant.
Absolutely.
Not just a restaurant, a successful restaurant.
That is definitely number one.
And so if you have any experience with opening a restaurant, I would like to know about it.
Yeah, man.
And
if you're in the area, maybe we get you on the show.
If you're in the area, and that's the thing, it's hard to get people on the show who aren't in the area because we really try to minimize the amount of remote shows that we do because it's really hard to count on the quality of the video and the audio and the coordination and just the the vibe of it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's a tough one.
I mean, unless we're on location somewhere, you know, and we've even talked about being in different places and doing different shows when we're in another place. But
yeah, and we traveled quite a bit. We don't have as many travel plans just because of different year, different things and priorities and things like that. But you know, going with our gear and all that stuff, that's our intention. So. Yeah. You know, that's all we
can always talk about. Yeah, absolutely. Meeting somewhere up, going somewhere.
Oh, without a doubt. And so we want to thank you so much for joining us once again. Those are what we have put together as why 60% of restaurants fail. So
and we know they're broad strokes. But
they all funnel into one of those categories.
Absolutely.
It's like the Plinko chips coming down, and they funnel down into one of those things.
Absolutely.
There's no secret why restaurants fail. It's not like you sitting there going like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." You got to start with the good food quality. Yep. If you don't have that, if you get all the people in the world in, then you say, "Hey, there's a chef that comes here every day."
Oh, your food's got to be good.
Yeah, people are gonna talk about you.
Yeah.
It's like a bad dating scene.
See, I mean, and it's funny because you can have okay food and have a great location. Mm-hmm. You can have great food, have a horrible location. Mm-hmm. So there's so many different factors across the board.
Yes. So many permutations.
Yes. You want to have great food to start you off with because great food can save you.
Great food can save you.
People will travel for great food.
Travel, line up. Yep. You don't even need to offer them a great atmosphere. You see those podunk places that people are lining around the door because the food is there.
Yeah.
But how many of those are there?
There's, and those are
the spots.
Those are the gems.
Those are the gems. And if you're not a gem, and even then, those are really, really, how many cities have the gems?
Yeah,
it's like a couple, like per
maybe one or two.
Yes,
you'll find one or two of these little gems. And, and that's what you're looking for.
That's what I look for.
Okay, I am looking for that spot that you're like, yes. This is where they go. That's where I need to go.
And even then, I'm not a person that's willing to line up for stuff like that.
True.
If I could make a reservation, great. But I get why they may or may not. Those are those are different factors. But outside of that.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're doing.
Yes.
It takes a lot of work, people. So don't.
Good luck.
Good luck to you. And let us know. I definitely am interested if you've had that experience. There might be some things that we have missed. You might have a good story.
Let us know.
Yes, let us know. I'm Marlon Joseph, the Modern Waiter.
I'm Danny Villain. Subscribe, people.
We'll see you next time.
Later.
My abilities in this game, they get the currency. I know it's blurring me just the same. It's talking slumbers me.